Hello and welcome. Today we will be looking at SmartSimple Cloud's delegation feature that was added in the July of 2023 upgrade cycle. And this delegation feature, firstly, what is it? Why do we have this feature? What it does is it adds the ability for our users here in the system to assign delegates, and those delegates will be able to emulate them within the system for a set period of time. So for example, if you're going to be out of office for vacation, if you'll be out of office for maternity leave or some other temporary absence, you can now select a delegate, such as a manager or a coworker or colleague, and then they will have the ability for that period of time to emulate your account and execute your tasks for that time period. So what this means is that you no longer need to temporarily modify role permissions or assign other users to specific records to oversee your tasks. And additionally, this feature is not limited to internal users necessarily. So external users, such as applicants, could be allowed to designate a co-applicant to assist with the process of filling out an application on their behalf if you'd like to allow them to do so. Now, once a user is delegated, they'll receive an email notification that they have been selected as a delegate. Once they log in, they'll also see an icon in their global header that allows them to temporarily emulate that user. So let's have a quick look at this feature in action. Here, I'm logged in as a staff member here, a grant staff in the system. So I have my grant staff portal. Let's say that I'm going out of office for a short period of time, and I'd like to delegate to another user. Firstly, we'll select our user menu here in the top right-hand corner, and then we'll select our personal settings link. I click on that link and I head over to the other tab, which is the current location of this feature. It may be revised in the future. If I'd like to delegate, I toggle on enable delegation, and then I will be selecting my user to delegate to. You can begin to type their email and you'll see we've got an autocomplete which we can select there. Then we'll select the time period for which they can delegate here in the system. So we'll allow this user to begin delegating today, and we will allow them to emulate our session for a week. So we'll set the last day for emulation to be next Monday here. And then when it comes to the message, this is a sample message that can be loaded with this link here, and the message will appear on the user's profile. So other users, like internal staff that are logged into the system, if they navigate to this staff member's profile, they'll see an out of office message, so they'll know to contact the delegate in their absence. So if we load the sample message, we just click on that link there, it will go ahead and populate with that sample message. They'll be unavailable for this time period for urgent matters rather. Contact the following delegates here. Now we are done with our delegation after we click save. So we now have sent off that email that will notify that particular user. They'll receive that in their inbox, and then they will have access to emulate your session for a short period of time. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to log in as that user so you can see what they can see in this particular scenario here. So I've logged in as my delegate here. And the first thing we're presented with is our typical reviewer portal, since this user had a reviewer user permissions here. That was their role prior to, of course, receiving their delegation permissions. One thing to note, this can be assigned to any user in the system, external, as I mentioned, internal as well. There are only two stipulations for that availability. The first would be that global administrators can only delegate to global administrators, and internal users can only delegate to other internal users. So those are stipulations there to keep in mind. So we've logged in as our delegate here, and what we see now is we have this delegation button up here in the top right-hand corner that will be available between the first and last days that we've specified. And if we select that, we now have the ability to emulate that staff user we've just seen there. And now we can view the system from their vantage point, from their point of view. We can even make changes on their behalf. And one thing to keep in mind is that in the audit logs, in the field revision history, it will be denoted that we were actually emulating this user. So it will not look as if these changes were made from Ann Johnson, our staff member here, but rather our delegate emulating Ann Johnson. So that's just something to keep in mind. All of the audit trails will follow from there. Now, in the meantime, if we navigate to the profile of Ann Johnson here, and if anyone navigates to the profile of this staff member that's delegating to this delegate here, we will see this out of office message that we set previously. Ann Johnson will be unavailable, et cetera, et cetera. So that will be there so that they know to contact the delegate in their absence. So that's a quick look at the feature, what it looks like in action. Let's just have a quick look under the hood here so we can actually see how to set it up in our system. It's quite simple. There are just a couple settings to configure here within the global settings. So to configure this setting, we're going to go to our global settings here. We're back signed in as a global administrator, by the way. We'll go into our global settings here. We will go to our security tab and we will go to system feature permissions. Then we'll head over to the features tab here where we have our delegation settings. You'll see these two delegation settings here. The first is roles that can delegate. And these are the specified roles here that will be able to choose other users to temporarily emulate them. And they can delegate tasks to those users for short periods of time. And then we have our delegation roles to delegate to. These are the roles that can be selected to become delegates by those that are going to be leaving or will be out of office. As I mentioned, there are two items to note as far as delegation and security, and that would be that global administrators can only delegate to other global administrators, and that internal users can only delegate to other internal users. So those are those 2 points to keep in mind as far as delegation. And there you have it. This is a quick demo of the delegation feature in SmartSimple, and it will allow you to have greater flexibility as far as out of office times, etc. So please do let me know and contact Platform Solutions at smartsimple.com if you have any questions about this feature, and we'd be happy to assist you. Thank you and have a great day.